like the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC too. Britney Spears is kind of cute. We watch TRL on MTV. Everybody three count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
Welcome everybody to another edition of Heel Yaz, Are You Afraid of the Mark? And today we are joined by Chris Sharpe. Chris, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's fun.
So you're a referee in the wrestling business. Tell us a little bit about what you describe as your job.
I just have the most fun job in the world, basically. What can I say? Obviously, the people listening to this, you probably watch wrestling all your life. You're a diehard fan, just like I was. And I never grew out of it, man. So now I do the best I can to help entertain as many people as I can and help my coworkers entertain as many people as they can and create more fans.
So for people that aren't necessarily familiar with you as in your work, you're a referee and you've worked for various companies around the world. Do you mind telling us about a few companies you worked at? And
Sure, man. I'll just kind of give you a little rundown of the list. I'm in Florida right now. I'm in Clearwater. I just moved into my new apartment. You can see my wife's little diner area behind me. It's all 50s style and pretty awesome. But I'm originally from Virginia, same place that Dave, Earl, and Brian Hebner are all from. So I always tell people I kind of feel like I was always destined to be a referee. My grandma went to high school with Dave and Earl. They were awesome friends. So as I grew up, I got to go to a whole bunch of WWF events, and I had WWF toys and videos and magazines and stuff like that. And when I finally turned, well, actually, you're supposed to be 18, but I started training to be a referee at about 16 and a half in Richmond, Virginia. There was a group called Richmond Lucha Libre. That was where I started out, and I've done some cool stuff, and I like, if I wrote it down on a list, I'd be like, wow, man, I've accomplished quite a lot of awesome stuff, but I don't really look at it that way because I'm not done yet. But I will say that some of the most fun times I ever had was in Richmond Lucha Libre. If you look them up on like YouTube, something like that, it was crazy, man, because at the time, this would have been like 2005, 2006 when I was starting, and we were drawing fans like 700,000 fans, and it was all 18 and up shows. It was in Bartown. I mean, people would just come off the street because they saw something sweet happening on the other side of the fence. And we'd have a ring set up in a parking lot, and we'd wrestle till 2 a.m. And I'm really not even allowed in bars. So, man, it was the coolest time. And I did independent wrestling as a wrestler, manager, referee, whatever I can get on shows as, basically for like the next 3 or 4 years after that, while still living in Virginia with my parents, and just kind of waited tables and stuff and saved up some money. And once I wasn't really satisfied with a lot of the independents that were on the East Coast at the time, I had some friends that had moved to Ohio Valley Wrestling in Louisville, Kentucky, and I knew that WWE used to be there. They left about a year before I decided to move there, or before I actually moved there, but I had already made my decision. I was saving up money, and I knew they still had the same trainers and stuff, and I still wanted to, do this. At that point, I really focused on just refereeing. I knew if I was going to a bigger school, these guys are jacked, and I know you can't really see the whole thing here, but I'm like maybe around like 5'10", 5'11". I'm like 160 pounds, so I knew I wanted to do it for real, but if I was going to make it to that level, I would have to be a different caliber of talent. And I'm not going to say that I couldn't have been. I could have worked all these years to do it. But I just knew that I liked refereeing anyways, and I paid all this money to go to a school and move 10 hours away from my parents and my comfort zone to try something new. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll put all my energy and all my focus into refereeing. Still actually took all the classes as a wrestler at OVW. Just thought it would benefit me, And while I was there, I got to do all kinds of stuff. I got to commentate on occasion. TNA used OVW as their developmental for a while, and I wasn't under contract with TNA, although I did end up doing some shows with them. But I actually got to write their developmental TV show with Al Snow and Rockstar Spud and another guy that's still there now. And just such an awesome experience. I got to do so many more things than just like a regular ref does, I guess.
Time frame
And
wise, when was that about?
about 2012, 2013. And I guess going to that school really opened up a lot of doors for me because so many people came through there. I mean, and we were doing wrestling shows at that time. I know OVW is actually a little bit different now, even than it was during the time I was there, and I was there for like 6 years. But we would do 3 or 4 events a week, and even on the independents, if you're working for a bunch of different companies, it's really, really hard to do. So I absorbed so much so quick, and I tried to learn every single role. And I think it opened up some doors for me, man. I worked hard, and I was always trying to be good to people. So, Jim Cornette, took over, writing at one point, and he was with Ring of Honor. So that opened up some doors there. I ended up doing like 20, 30 shows with Ring of Honor, and it was just awesome. And, basically, in the summer of 2014, I just kind of felt like because I did all that stuff, I did pretty much everything I came to OVW to accomplish. I came there, you know, obviously you want to get a major contract with a major company, and I haven't achieved that yet. But throughout the time, I had the opportunity to referee or, you know, be an extra, do whatever for all of the companies. The coolest thing, to be honest with you, and I'm not just saying that because she's in another room, might be able to hear me, but I found my wife at OVW. So I just kind of felt like I got everything out of that place, and it was just time for me to use what I learned there and grow. And I actually moved to Florida, in Orlando in the summer of 2014, and got an opportunity to be booked as an extra and as a referee sometimes for NXT and for some WWE shows. And now I'm just trying to lock something in full time. I feel like I've done a little bit of everything, but not enough you know, I don't know the best way to phrase that, but I've been everywhere at least a little bit. And I'm still going strong. I'm getting healthier every day, and I think my time's coming to where you're going to see me on your TV a whole lot more often.
So other places that are listed as where you've worked is Evolve, Global Force, Impact, and Shine. All very large companies. And I don't know. Before talking to you, I always thought like a referee, like you don't get to try, like you don't get booked out as much, and it was very much a main, like a home stay. Like each company had their own guys, but you broke those barriers and like been a guy that can be booked.
Some of my friends kind of make the joke that I'm the hustlingest ref out there. And to be honest with you, when I was starting out, I would have a lot of people tell me, hey, you're a referee. Why are you, you know, promoting yourself? And I get the mentality behind that. And don't get me wrong. If I worked full time for WWE or TNA or something, I probably wouldn't have the same social media presence I have right now. But I don't. And I realized that when I do it, I get booked more and my bills get paid more. And the people that were telling me not to do it certainly weren't paying my bills. So I was just like, you know what? Me putting myself out there, and even just as like a human, not just a ref, me putting myself out there for opportunities and working hard and just trying to be a good dude will get you a lot further in life. And I believed in that anyways. So I just applied it to wrestling, and I got to do cool stuff.
From the time you started till now, was there ever a moment though before you got to OVW where like I want to be a wrestler? Like where like everyone starts, they want to be the wrestler. You watch wrestling, being the wrestler.
Yeah,
but
and even as a referee, especially in OVW, like if you, I got my own YouTube page, but I know I've got matches that aren't on my YouTube. I got to do all kinds of storylines and matches and stuff, especially in OVW. But because they saw what I could do, I tried my best just to entertain all the time, man. I'm not gonna say I was some kind of technical novice or anything like that, but I had a half-assed clue what I was doing because of the people I was surrounded by, and I knew what the bookers and the writers and the wrestling trainers and the wrestlers all wanted out of every match multiple times a week for years and years and years. So I picked up a lot of stuff. So every now and then when you're doing that many shows, an opportunity comes up where I get to do something. I could be a bad guy ref or a good guy ref versus a bad guy ref, and I get to have a whole bunch of matches. Check out my YouTube, and I'll dare say that they're very entertaining. So I still got to do it all, and like I said, even when I was at OVW, Rip Rogers, I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah.
He's awesome, man. Check out his Twitter as well because he's always dropping free knowledge on there, and it's all the same stuff that, like, when people read it now, they're like, "Oh wow, this is great. I want to read more." But I'm not going to say I know as much as Rip Rogers or any of these people, obviously, but because I went there and learned it, that's just second nature to me now. So I took all the classes for years just to be a wrestler, even though I knew I didn't want to be a wrestler anymore. But yeah, before I went to OVW, I definitely had the mindset where I wanted to just be a wrestler, sure. But like I said, once I moved there, I just started taking things a little bit more seriously. And I said, if I'm going to make it to, WWE or something bigger than this, I might as well just stick to refereeing because I love it anyways.
So, as the ref, your main job is the communicator, not only to the audience but to the boys. How does that play out?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you just said, I'm trying to communicate the story that we're trying to tell to the audience. I want, an elderly couple or, a 4-year-old kid to be able to understand what we're doing. And that all helps with body language and facials and stuff like that, of course. And in the other sense, I'm trying to communicate what the producers want in my little earpiece, or maybe when we're going to a commercial break or kind of where we need to go in next in the match. But, with the wrestling training, like you were saying, I do kind of see it as, I got a heads up on, a lot of indie refs out there. There are some really, really great independent refs out there that do deserve a look. And then just like the wrestlers, there are some that shouldn't probably be in wrestling at all. But it's cool, they're happy. Let them do their thing as long as they're not hurting anybody, I guess. But just doing that, like, here's a perfect example. There would be plenty of times where I was by and far the most experienced person in the ring out of me and the wrestlers and the manager or whatever. And sometimes, just like a play or something, you get froze and you don't know what to do next. Well, me having done all this stuff and having ingrained in my brain all the time, I can lead these guys through a 15, 20-minute, very entertaining, very modern day or very old school match. Without them, they could be concussed or completely lost or just never have planned anything to begin with. And I'm not going to say that because of me, the match is going to be the best or anything like that or better than the wrestlers could have thought of on their own, but sometimes it is. And, if I didn't train to be a wrestler at the same time and learn all that stuff, and I only knew how to count to 3, or even if I only knew how to help communicate, I wouldn't be as much of an asset to some of these companies as I made myself now.
And I had the privilege of watching the Jimmy Corderas school training video that's on YouTube. And that's the big thing
I haven't seen that, but I did read his book, and I talk to him on Twitter sometimes. He's a very cool guy. I'm sure the video is awesome.
And that's the big thing he's conveying is that communication, you have to know not only your job, but the other guy's job as well.
He's right. He's absolutely right. I mean, of course he is. Of course he knows. He's done it for over 20 years.
And I was talking to him, and we might have him on the show, so I'm excited about that. But
yeah.
No, that's the big thing he conveys is just how ref can impact a match positively or negatively just by body language and communication.
Yeah, man, and I'm, I used to do some acting classes and stuff like that too, and I was always real big. Like, I'll still jump on YouTube or even read stuff on Google, especially with things like body language or even like people throwing punches. Sometimes it doesn't hurt just to watch boxing because you're going to make it look a little bit better if you take something from that. So even like an airline pilot, how their motions are so direct, it just makes it really easy to understand. And especially if I want to work in these giant arenas one day, I want to contribute something. I want to have my body language help tell that story. You know what I mean?
Aside from the Attitude Era greats that we know of, the Tim Whites, the Jimmy Corderas, the Hebners, who are some of the refs now that you feel are spot on in these bigger companies?
You know what? To be honest with you, I mean, obviously, I think most people would agree that WWE and TNA are kind of the big ones. I know that a lot of it comes down to the talent of the individual, but I think they're all just kind of trained a great way right now to where anybody they bring in, if they work hard and if they're a good dude and they're fairly in shape and they just put in the time over time, those companies can make anyone great. I think anybody in WWE is awesome right now, to be honest with you. I just, I look at these dudes in a little bit different light. I look at them as, even if I don't work there, I still view these people as coworkers in a way. Just because I'm not going to say I'm on this guy's level or I'm above anybody, but I kind of think you have to look at yourself that way. If you really are good and you belong there, you just know that you belong there. It's, something in here. It's not a cockiness thing or anything like that, but I think I belong there. And, I don't think I'm better than anyone else. I know that I could be a part of the team. I love watching like Drake Wirtz in NXT, man, just to come from a wrestler. Like you watch him now and he adds so much to the matches. But then there's obviously guys like Chad Patton, John Cone, Mike Chioda, all these guys that have been there for years. Of course they're great. Jason Ayers, Sean Bennett moved up from NXT to the main roster. All these guys are awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a reason why they're there. So I would be discrediting myself and them if I only watched one or two of them. You know what I mean?
And you nailed it on the head. Drake was the one that comes to mind when I thought of wrestlers nowadays that are transcending, because he went from being a hardcore style wrestler to now he's one of they're the mainstay NXT reps.
And I don't know if you keep up with NXT. I try to watch it all. I don't get to watch it the same day. Like I watched like a half hour of Raw today on Hulu. I don't even have regular TV. I just have internet. But WWE Network's great, and that pretty much covers all you need most of the time right there. But I don't know if you've been keeping up with NXT, but a few weeks ago they had the thing where the two wrestlers were pinned at the same time, and then they had to do a big thing. Yeah. That's a time where the spotlight is supposed to be on the ref for a moment there. And like he delivered, he made it compelling, interesting. It didn't look fake, it didn't look stupid, and it made you be like, oh crap, I gotta tune in next week to see what they're gonna do now. Whereas if he sucked, it wouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? So it is awesome.
How big of an impact does it make when there's a spot where the ref is not supposed to see something and they see it, but they don't call it? Like, what if you get yourself into that situation? Like, how do you navigate from it?
To me, I mean, I look at it two ways. One, it's fake wrestling. How much can you stress out and beat yourself up over something at the end of the night? But two, it's very important. There's a lot of money on the line. If I see something I'm not supposed to see, all the fans are going to boo me, not the bad guys. That's not what we want, unless it is what we want that night. You know what I mean? But if you're not supposed to see something, I would just tell newer refs, do anything you can but see that thing. I don't care what you do, don't see it. You know what I mean? Don't turn around. I always kind of feel like a bad ref can really kind of make a great match just kind of okay or good, and a really good match can make a really good ref can make a really crappy match great, or at least really good. They help, man. Just like how I was saying before, all these referees have been around for years and they're super experienced. They know more about wrestling other than just their role, because if I'm in the ring with all the best wrestlers all the time, how can I not pick it up? You know what I mean? You know how wrestling works, I'm sure.
Yes.
You just hear it and you see it. You've got the best seat in the house. So if I'm refereeing John Cena 4 times a week, and a lot of people think that he's the best one out there, and that's why all the fans are coming to see him and he's making the millions, I guarantee I'm probably going to pick up a thing or two that I can pass on to when I'm refereeing a preliminary match.
That's a great way to put it. I never really thought of it that way, as like each person you ref is something you can pick up from something.
Yeah, I mean, if you're around it, even you just accidentally absorb stuff sometimes, you know?
So Got one last question. I just want to hear a good road story that you've had. You've been to very many companies. Is there any good road story you can share here?
Um, Give me like a starter. Give me something to get me thinking, because
I want
it'd
to
be hard to pull one out of thin air.
let's hear a story from maybe somebody an account you had with somebody at NXT or WWE.
Okay. It's always weird when you're on the spot with these kind of things. What am I allowed to say? Well, I'll tell you what, it's not a road story, but I do have something WWE related I can talk about real quick. I got really into Clash of Clans. And I don't know if you've seen their social media presence, but a lot of the boys are in Nicky Clan. That's the name of our clan. You can go on Twitter and see most of the people that are involved. If you just kind of look up hashtag Nicky Clan, the coolest group of people, honestly. And it's to the point where I love this game and I'm keeping up with these dudes all the time. It's so much fun. We just raised over $37,000 by selling T-shirts with our little Nicky Clan logo, so we can give the money to Drax Shadow. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. I know everybody remembers Connor Mahalik about a year ago when they were doing the Connor's Cure. Drax Shadow is someone that was brought into WWE. Um, and it's awesome to see everybody come together for a kid like that. You know what I mean? So I think we got an awesome group of people. Definitely worth your time looking them up. Whether you play the video game or not, it's cool to see the boys that are in WWE doing stuff outside of WWE on their own. The video game brought us together, but it's cool that we're doing bigger stuff now. You know what I mean? So I know that's not really a road story,
Oh,
but it's something WWE related and it's something worth you looking up.
that's awesome. It gives something for people to go look. And if I remember correctly, Jack Shadow was big fan of Gold Dust Cody Rhodes, and I believe on Cody Rhodes showed his clan on Up Up Down Down with
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll let you in on a tiny little secret. Sometime around WrestleMania weekend, we just may be filming a live Up Up Down Down, or actually I don't know if it'll be live, but filming an Up Up Down Down with kind of the whole clan together and playing a battle or two. So that'll be something to look out for too. So definitely give Up Up Down Down subscribe, click on YouTube. It's totally worth it. It's sweet anyway. I love video games. Like last night, I don't know when you're going to air this, but at the time of this recording last night at midnight, I was up at the GameStop so I can get that new game, The Division,
it's
for
a real
PS4.
game. I was up at midnight waiting to play it.
But the servers were down for like the first like 2 or 3 hours, to the point where I just sat there texting with some of my buddies who I knew wanted to play it at the same time, and it didn't work. Where it was like 3 a.m. and I knew I had to get up at like 7:30, so I was just like, I guess I'll have to catch it tomorrow. I still haven't played it yet, but yeah, I'm a huge gamer too. PS4 is my thing, but I also like Nintendo. I got a Wii U. Used to have an Xbox, not really into it. Got the original Xbox in 2001, and then later on got a 360, and then I got an Xbox One on day one, and I was loving it up until that point. Xbox crashed on me several times. I was like, man, I'm gonna go back to PlayStation. I had a PlayStation 1 when I was a kid. That was about kind of all we could afford, but that was sweet because it was one of the main things me and my father did together. He builds houses. He's always working all day long outside, but when he came home, some nights we'd pop in like a Need for Speed or a Medal of Honor or something like that. So I've always been a big gamer. So me and Nicky Clan, it goes hand in hand, man.
So if anybody's looking for a ref, how can they get in contact with you to book you?
I like to think I've put myself out there pretty easy to book. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. You can email me, bookrefchrissharpe@gmail.com. I've got a fairly large social media presence. I love Twitter, but I'll add anybody on Facebook. You've seen that, obviously. I just like communicate with new people, man. I
And
like
we'll
to
put
think
your
of myself
stuff
as I
down
like
here
to
as
think of
well.
myself as just a regular dude who's pretty approachable. Hang out, talk to me about wrestling. That's stuff's cool with me.
And we'll put your stuff right down here as well, so people can just
Right.
click. Yeah, like right somewhere's down here. And people will be able to contact you. Also, I'll find a link to Nicky Clan and the Drax Shadow article, and I'll put that in there as well because I feel like that's a huge thing.
Dude, it feels good to be able to do something wrestling related that's not just wrestling.
And it's
You know what
something
I
you
mean?
love other
Like,
than wrestling.
yeah, I want to do wrestling every day for the rest of my life. But it's not the only thing I talk about when friends come over and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That once you do it, you begin to see it in a different light. People ask me about storylines and stuff like that. I can't believe such and such, or they're treating this person. I was like, man, they're treating Daniel Bryan bad for 8 months so that when he finally wins, you explode. It's all for a reason. They know what they're doing. That's why they're the biggest wrestling company in the world, one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world. So I don't even look at it that way. I just look at it as, hey man, how can I meet some sweet people, sweet fans, sweet coworkers? How can I provide for my wife, provide for my future family, just doing something I love and traveling? And I'm on my way.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for sitting for the past half hour and talking wrestling with me.
Of course, man. No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
This has been Are You Afraid of the Mark with Chris Sharpe.